I still remember the exact weight of her hand against my back. My name is Amara, and I trusted Folake with everything. My secrets, my dreams, even the boy I loved. We grew up together in our village, sharing the same mat under the mango tree, braiding each other's hair until our fingers ached. Everyone said we were like two halves of the same calabash. I believed them. I should have seen it coming. The way her smile tightened when Mama praised my cooking. How her eyes went cold when Chidi, the blacksmith's son, asked to walk me home from the market. Small things, tiny cracks I ignored because she was my sister in everything but blood. That morning, she came to my hut with that same smile, the one I'd grown blind to. "Amara, come with me to the river," she said, her voice sweet as palm wine. "I need to show you something special. A secret place where the river spirits bless those who are worthy." The sun was setting, painting the sky the color of blood oranges. I should have questioned why we needed to go so late, why her hands trembled as she led me down the narrow bush path. But I didn't, because she was Folake, my friend. The river was swollen from recent rains, rushing past with a voice like angry ancestors. She led me to the edge where the bank crumbled into darkness, where the water moved so fast it looked black. "Look there," she pointed toward the middle. "Do you see it? The blessing stone?" I leaned forward, squinting into the dying light. That's when I felt it. Both her palms flat and firm against my shoulder blades. The push wasn't gentle. It wasn't hesitant. It was the push of someone who had thought about this moment, planned it, perhaps practiced the motion in her mind. I remember the shock more than the fear. The way my mouth opened but no sound came out. How her face looked in that last glimpse. Not sorry, not sad, satisfied. The water hit me like 1,000 fists. Cold, so cold it burned. I tried to scream, but the river filled my mouth, my nose, dragging me down into its belly. My wrapper tangled around my legs like serpents. I clawed upward, but the current was stronger, pulling me deeper into the darkness. My lungs screamed, my vision blurred. The last thing I saw before the blackness took me was Folake's silhouette on the bank, standing perfectly still, watching me drown. I sank down, down, down into the river's throat. And then something else took hold of me. The water changed. It stopped fighting me and started embracing me, pulling me not up toward air, but deeper into a place where the river touched something ancient, something that had been sleeping. I felt fingers, not human fingers, wrapping around my wrists. Cold lips pressed against my forehead. A voice that wasn't a voice whispered into my dying mind. "Child thrown away by wickedness, do you want to return? Do you want to show them what the river births?" I couldn't speak, but my soul screamed yes. The darkness swallowed me whole. When I woke up, I was lying on the riverbank 3 miles downstream, coughing up water that glowed faintly in the moonlight. My body was the same, but something fundamental had shifted. I could feel the night air against my skin like a living thing. I could hear conversations from the village, smell fear like copper on the wind. And I could feel her, Folake, sleeping peacefully in her bed, dreaming dreams untouched by guilt. She thought I was dead. I smiled in the darkness, and it felt like someone else's smile. The river had given me a gift. Now it was time to unwrap it. I waited 3 days before going back to the village. 3 days of hiding in the abandoned hunter shelter near the forest edge, learning what I had become, testing the new things that lived inside me now. The river hadn't just saved me, it had changed me, rewoven something essential in my spirit. I discovered I could sense emotions like heat from a fire. When a farmer passed nearby, worried about his sick goat, his anxiety wrapped around me like smoke. When children played by the forest edge, their joy tasted like honey on my tongue. And when I focused, really concentrated, I could push thoughts into people's minds like seeds into soil. Small suggestions, tiny whispers they think were their own ideas. The power frightened me at first. Then I thought about Folake's hands on my back, and the fear turned into something else. Something sharp and patient. On the fourth day, I walked back into the village just as the sun rose. Old Mama Kemi saw me first. She was sweeping her compound, and when she looked up, her broom fell from her hands. Amara, but they said you were dead, I finished for her, keeping my voice soft, confused. I don't know what happened, Mama. I woke up by the river, so far downstream. Maybe the current carried me. I don't remember. If you're wondering what happened next, subscribe now because this revenge is just beginning and you won't want to miss a single moment. Word spread through the village like wildfire in Harmattan season. By midday, everyone knew Amara had returned from the river. A miracle, a blessing from the water spirits. My own mother wept when she saw me, crushing me against her chest. My daughter, we searched for you. We thought, oh, the ancestors have been merciful. Where is Folake? I asked quietly. I need to see her. I need to thank her for trying to show me that special place. My mother's face tightened slightly. She's been unwell since that day, crying, saying it was her fault, that she should have grabbed you faster when you slipped. Slipped. Of course. That's the story she told. I found her in her family's compound, sitting in the shadows, despite the bright afternoon. When she saw me, all the color drained from her face. She looked like she was seeing a ghost, which I suppose she was. Amara, her voice cracked. You're alive. I walked toward her slowly, watching her shrink back. Good. Let her fear simmer. Yes, the river, it was strange, Folake. I don't remember much, just darkness and cold, and then waking up so far away. I tilted my head, studying her like a hawk studies a mouse. You tried to save me, didn't you, when I slipped? She swallowed hard. I could feel her guilt thick and choking, mixed with relief and a new emotion, terror. Because somehow, some instinct in her knew I was different. Predators always recognize each other. Yes, she whispered. I tried. I'm so sorry I couldn't. Don't be sorry. I reached out and took her hand, feeling her flinch. Her skin was clammy, her pulse racing like a trapped bird. I squeezed her hand just a little too tight, smiled just a little too wide. Then I planted the first seed. It was subtle, almost invisible, just a tiny whisper in the back of her mind. Everyone knows what you did. Everyone can see your guilt. I watched her pupils dilate as the thought took root. I should rest, I said, releasing her hand. I'm still so tired, but we'll talk soon, yes? Like we always do. Best friends forever. I left her sitting there, trembling, and I could feel the paranoia beginning to bloom in her mind like black mold. This was just the beginning. That night, I lay in my mat and planned. I wouldn't rush this. Revenge, real revenge, needed to be slow, methodical. I would take apart her life piece by piece, just as she tried to take mine. And I would make sure she knew, deep in her guilty soul, exactly who was destroying her. The river had given me power. Now I would teach Folake what happens when you throw away someone's life. I would teach her that some people don't stay dead. I started with these small things. Folake's life had always been charmed. People loved her, opportunities found her, luck followed her like a faithful dog. But luck, I learned, is just a pattern of small moments, and patterns can be broken. The first thread I pulled was her friendship with Adeaze, the chief's daughter. They'd been close for years, always whispering and giggling together at the market. I watched them for days, learning their rhythm, finding the weak spots. Adeaze was proud, sensitive about her status, and Folake, when she thought no one was listening, sometimes made small jokes about the chief's daughter's weight. It was easy, really, too easy. I waited until they were alone by the well, then sent Adeaze a thought, crystal clear, in Folake's voice. At least I don't waddle like a pregnant goat. I watched Adeaze's face change. Confusion first, then hurt, then anger. What did you just say? Folake looked genuinely bewildered. I didn't say anything. Adeaze, what's wrong? Adeaze stepped back. I heard you, in my head, but your voice. I didn't say anything,
Folake's voice rose, defensive. Why would I? But the damage was planted. I nudged Adeaze's suspicion deeper, reminded her of every small slight, every moment of jealousy she'd ignored. By the time they parted, their friendship had frost on it. Within a week, they weren't speaking. Within 2 weeks, Adeaze was telling others that Folake was two-faced and not to be trusted. I moved to the next thread. Chidi, the blacksmith's son, the boy we both wanted. He chose me before the river, but I had seen how Folake looked at him, how she tried to insert herself between us with casual touches and lingering smiles. Now, I made sure every time he saw Folake, something went wrong. When she walked past his forge, I'd whisper suggestions to the village troublemakers to start a fight nearby, making her look like she brought chaos. When she tried to greet him at the market, I'd ensure he just heard gossip about her. Gossip I had carefully planted in other people's minds. But my masterpiece was the night of the harvest festival. Folake had spent weeks preparing her dance, hoping to impress Chidi. I watched her practice in secret, perfecting every step. She was good, graceful, beautiful. It would have won his heart. So I waited until the moment she stepped into the circle, all eyes on her, and I reached into her mind, not to whisper, to scramble. Suddenly, she couldn't remember the steps. Her feet tangled. She stumbled, fell, tore her wrapper in front of the entire village. The laughter wasn't cruel, but the embarrassment was complete. I felt it radiating from her like heat from coals, shame so deep that it made her wish the earth would swallow her. Chidi helped her up, polite but distant. I made sure he felt a flicker of pity rather than attraction. Pity is the death of desire. That night, I visited Folake. She was crying in her hut, and I could taste her tears in the air, salt and desperation. When I entered, she looked up with eyes red and swollen. Amara, I don't know what is happening to me. Everything is falling apart. My friends, my reputation, even my own body betrays me now. I sat beside her, wrapped my arm around her shoulders. Her guilt pressed against me like a physical thing. She wondered, in the dark corners of her mind, if this was punishment, if the spirits knew what she'd done to me. They did, but I was the spirit now. Maybe you are cursed, I said softly, feeling her stiffen. Maybe someone wished you harm. But who? I've never... She stopped, and I felt the lie stick in her throat. Because she'd wished me dead. She'd made it happen. The river spirits are powerful, I continued, my voice like honey laced with poison. They see everything, every betrayal, every secret pushed beneath the water. She was shaking now. Amara, I need to tell you something. That day, when you fell. Yes, I turned to look at her, my eyes catching the lamplight. For just a moment, I let her see something ancient looking back. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Fear won over confession. Never mind, she whispered. I'm just tired, so tired. Rest then, I said, standing. Tomorrow will be better. But we both knew I was lying. I left her there trembling in the darkness and felt satisfaction curl in my chest like smoke. Every day I would take something else from her. Every day she would lose a little more of the life she tried to steal from me. And the beautiful thing, she was starting to suspect, starting to wonder if the girl that came back from the river wasn't quite the same girl that went in. She was right to wonder, because the old Amara would have forgiven her, would have turned the other cheek, believed in mercy and second chances. But the old Amara drowned in that river. What came back was something else entirely.
3 months after my return, Folake was a shadow of herself. Her friends had abandoned her one by one, each convinced she'd wronged them in some unforgivable way. The village whispered about her bad luck, her sour spirit, the way misfortune followed her like a curse. Even her own family had started looking at her with confusion and disappointment. But I wasn't finished, not nearly. I wanted her to feel what I felt in those moments underwater. The absolute certainty that everything was lost, that she was drowning with no hope of rescue. The next thread I pulled was her mother. Mama Bimpe loved Folake fiercely, defended her against every whisper and rumor. That love was Folake's last anchor, her final refuge. So, I decided to cut it. I started small, making Folake forget to do chores, planting irritation in Mama Bimpe's mind when she had to do them instead. Then, I escalated.
I made Folake talk back in ways she didn't mean to, made her voice sharp when she intended gentleness. I turned every interaction into sandpaper, slowly wearing down the bond between mother and daughter. The breaking point came on a market day. Mama Bimpe had saved money for months to buy new cloth for Folake's wrapper. It was an act of love, a desperate attempt to lift her daughter's spirits. I watched Folake receive it with tears of gratitude, watched her clutch it to her chest. Then I planted a thought in her mind, loud, intrusive, impossible to ignore. She only bought this because she's ashamed of you. She wants you to look better so people will stop talking. Folake's gratitude curdled into resentment. When Mama Bimpe asked if she liked it, Folake heard herself say, "You think new cloth will fix what's wrong with me? You think covering me up will stop the whispers?" The hurt in Mama Bimpe's eyes was exquisite. "Folake, I just wanted to." "I know what you wanted, for me to stop embarrassing you." Folake clapped her hand over her mouth, horrified. She hadn't meant to say that, but the damage was done. Mama Bimpe turned away, and I felt the love between them crack like pottery dropped on stone. That night, I heard Folake screaming in her sleep. I stood outside her hut, listening to her nightmares. She was dreaming of the river, of my face sinking beneath the water. In her dream, I opened my eyes underwater and smiled. She woke up gasping, and I slipped away into the shadows. The next morning, she came looking for me. I was grinding cassava when she appeared, looking like she hadn't slept in weeks. Her wrapper hung loose on her diminished frame. Her eyes had dark circles deep as wells. "Amara, I need your help." Her voice was ragged. "Something is wrong with me, very wrong. Maybe you're the only one who can understand." I looked up at her, patient as the river. "Tell me." "I think I'm cursed." The words tumbled out like water from a broken pot. "Ever since that day at the river, ever since you came back, everything in my life has turned to ash. My friends hate me. My mother looks at me like a stranger. I say things I don't mean to say. I forget things I shouldn't forget. And at night, I dream." "What do you dream?" I asked softly. She looked at me with eyes full of terror. "I dream of you, under the water, looking up at me. And you're smiling, Amara. You're smiling like you know something terrible." I set down my grinding stone and wiped my hand slowly, deliberately. "Maybe the river spirits are angry with you, Folake. Maybe they know something you haven't told me." Her breath caught. "What do you mean?" I stood up, moving closer to her. She flinched but didn't step back. Maybe someone needs to confess. Maybe someone needs to tell the truth about what really happened that day." The color drained from her face. "I told you, you slipped. I tried to—" "Stop lying." My voice was quiet, but something in it made her stumble backward. "I know, Folake. I've always known." "Known what?" But her voice was a whisper, and her eyes were filling with tears of pure fear. "That you pushed me." I took another step forward. "That you stood on that bank and watched me drown. That you walked home and told everyone I slept. That you've been sleeping peacefully while No, I haven't been sleeping. I haven't had peace since that day." She was crying now, her whole body shaking. "Amara, I'm sorry. I was jealous. I was angry. I wasn't thinking." "You are thinking perfectly clearly." My voice was cold as river water. "You planned it. You wanted me gone. And when you pushed me, you made sure I never came back." "But you did come back," she sobbed. "And now you're different. You're doing this to me, aren't you? All of it. The bad luck, the ruined friendships, the way everyone looks at me. It's you." I smiled then, and I saw her recognize it, the same smile from her nightmares. "Prove it," I said. "Tell everyone what you did. Confess that you tried to murder me. See if they believe you. See if they believe that sweet Amara, who survived the river by a miracle, came back as something that punishes the wicked." She stared at me, understanding finally settling over her like a death shroud. "What are you?" she breathed. "I'm what you made me." I leaned in close enough to whisper. "I drowned, Folake. I felt my lungs fill with water. I felt the darkness take me. And in that darkness, something ancient awoke. Something that makes bargains with girls who've been betrayed. Please, she whispered. Please, I'm sorry. I'll do anything. I'll leave the village. I'll tell everyone what I did. Just please make it stop. I tilted my head, considering her like a cat considers a mouse. No. What? I said no. Because you didn't just try to take my life, Folake. You tried to take my future, my love, my happiness. You tried to erase me. So now I'm going to finish what I started. I'm going to take everything from you, not just your life, but your peace, your sanity, your place in this world. You're going to live every day knowing what you did, feeling it eat you from the inside, watching the consequences multiply. And no one will believe you if you tell them the truth. You're a monster, she breathed. No, I said, turning away from her. I'm just the girl who came back different. You should have made sure I stayed dead. I left her standing there broken and weeping, and I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. The river had given me justice. Now I would see it through to the end.
2 weeks later, Folake tried to run away. I felt her decision before she made it. The desperate hope that distance might break whatever held her in this nightmare. She packed a small bag in the dead of night, planning to walk to the next village and start over. She made it to the edge of the forest before I appeared on the path in front of her. The moon was full, bright enough to see the terror bloom in her face. She dropped her bag and backed away, but there was nowhere to go. The forest pressed in on both sides, and I blocked the path forward. Running won't help, I said calmly. I'm in your head now, Folake. I'm in your guilt, your fear, your dreams. You can't run from yourself. What do you want from me? Her voice was hoarse from crying. You've destroyed everything. My reputation is ruined. My family barely speaks to me. I have no friends, no future, no peace. What more can you possibly take? I stepped closer, and she shrank back against a tree. I want you to understand something. Do you know what I thought about when I was drowning? When your hands pushed me and the water filled my lungs? She shook her head, trembling. I thought about all the secrets I told you, all the times I defended you when others gossiped, all the dreams we shared under the mango tree. I thought about how I loved you like a sister. My voice hardened, and then I realized you never loved me at all. You loved what I had. You wanted my life, so you tried to take it. I was wrong, she sobbed. I know I was wrong, but this torture, it's too much. I'm losing my mind, Amara. I can't sleep without nightmares. I can't eat without tasting guilt. I can't breathe without feeling like I'm drowning. You've won. You've broken me. Isn't that enough? I studied her, this shell of the girl who once smiled while destroying me. Part of me, a small part, felt something like pity. But then I remembered the coldness of the water, the certainty of death, and the pity dissolved. I could let you go, I said slowly. I could release you from this curse, let you start over. But you need to do something for me first. Hope flickered in her eyes. Anything, I'll do anything. Tell everyone the truth. Tomorrow, in front of the whole village. Tell them you pushed me into the river intending to kill me. Tell them about your jealousy, your hatred, your crime. The hope died. They'll exile me, or worse, the chief might. I interrupted. That's the price. Your truth for your freedom, your confession for your sanity. Otherwise, I'll make sure every day for the rest of your life feels like you are drowning just like I did. And trust me, I can keep this up forever. She slid down the tree trunk, sitting in the dirt, defeated. For a long time, she was silent. Then finally, she nodded. Tomorrow. I'll tell them tomorrow. I nodded and stepped aside, letting her pass back toward the village. She walked like someone going to her own execution, and I suppose she was. But as I watched her go, something unexpected stirred in my chest. Not regret exactly, but a question. When would enough be enough? The next morning, the entire village gathered in the central square. Folake had sent word that she had an important confession. People came out of curiosity, expecting another breakdown,
Another spectacle. I stood at the back of the crowd, watching. Folake climbed onto the speaking stone, her face pale but resolute. Mama Bimpe stood near the front, confused and worried. Chidi was there too, and Adiaze, and all the others who turned away from her. I have something to confess, Folake began, her voice shaking. About Amara, about what really happened at the river. The crowd murmured. I felt their attention sharpen. I didn't try to save her when she slipped. Folake's eyes found mine across the crowd. I pushed my best friend into the river because I was jealous. Because she had everything I wanted. Love, respect, a future. I wanted her dead. I watched her drown and felt glad. Gas rippled through the crowd. Mama Bimpe's hand flew to her mouth. Chidi looked shocked. Adiaze's eyes widened. But she came back, Folake continued, tears streaming down her face. And I've been living in hell ever since. Not because of curses or spirits, but because of guilt. Because of what I did. Because I'm a murderer who failed. The chief stepped forward. These are serious accusations you make against yourself, Folake. Do you understand what you are saying? I understand perfectly. Folake looked at me again. I understand that some things can't be forgiven, that some actions have consequences that never end. I understand that I deserve everything that's happened to me. The crowd erupted in angry voices. Some called for exile. Others demanded the chief pronounce judgment. Mama Bimpe was weeping, reaching for her daughter. But I was watching Folake's face, watching something I hadn't expected. Relief. Terrible, painful relief. As if finally speaking the truth had released something inside her, even knowing the cost. The chief raised his hand for silence. Folake, you will be. Wait! I heard my own voice before I realized I was speaking. The crowd turned. I walked forward through them until I stood in front of the speaking stone. Amara, the chief acknowledged me. You are the victim here. What do you say to this confession? I looked up at Folake. She looked back at me with eyes that had finally stopped hiding. And I realized something. The revenge I'd planned, the slow torture I'd inflicted, it had changed me as much as the river had. I'd become the thing I feared, someone who could hurt without mercy, who could watch another person break and feel satisfaction. The river had given me power, but power over others is nothing compared to power over yourself. I took a deep breath. I say that Folake has spoken her truth, and that truth is her punishment and her path forward. I won't ask for exile or death. I ask that she be given a chance to make amends, through service, through humility, through living every day with the weight of what she's done. The crowd murmured in surprise. Folake stared at me, disbelieving. But, I continued, I also ask that she leave this village for 1 year. Go somewhere else, live differently, learn who you are beyond jealousy. If after that year you can return with genuine change, then perhaps we can speak again. The chief nodded slowly. It is decided. Folake, you have 1 day to prepare, then you leave for 1 year of exile and reflection. As the crowd dispersed, Folake climbed down from the stone and approached me. Why? She asked quietly. After everything I did, why show mercy now? I looked at her, really looked at her, seeing past my anger to the scared, broken girl underneath. Because I realized something. The river gave me power to punish you, yes, but it also gave me the power to choose, and I choose not to become what I hated in you. She nodded, tears falling silently. Thank you. I don't deserve it, but thank you. I said, don't thank me, just be better. Become someone who would never push a friend into a river. Become someone worthy of a second chance. She left the next morning. I watched her walk down the same path we'd walked together as children, but now she walked alone. The power the river had given me didn't disappear. I could still feel it humming beneath my skin, could still sense emotions and plant suggestions, but I chose to use it differently now, to help rather than hurt, to protect rather than punish. This is the lesson I learned, and perhaps it's one for you too. Revenge might feel sweet, but mercy is what truly sets you free. If this story moved you, if it taught you something about forgiveness and power, consider subscribing. There are more tales to tell, more wisdom to share, and more truth to uncover together. Sometimes I go back to the river. I stand on the bank where she pushed me and remember the girl who drowned there. She was kind but naive, trusting but blind. I miss her sometimes, but I don't regret becoming who I am now. someone who knows both the depth of betrayal and the strength of choosing mercy. They say the river spirits are powerful, that they see everything and balance the scales. Maybe that's true. Or maybe the real power was always inside us. The power to destroy or to heal, to curse or to bless, to become monsters or to remain human despite what others do to us. Folake returned after her year of exile, changed, quieter, humbler. We're not friends, we'll never be friends again, but we coexist. We nod when we pass, and sometimes I catch her looking at me with an expression I understand now. Gratitude mixed with shame, relief mixed with regret. She knows I could have destroyed her completely. She knows I chose not to. And that knowledge, that depth, that understanding, it's a different kind of power. One that does not corrupt, one that builds rather than break. This is what I want you to understand, whoever hears this story. Yes, I came back from the river different. Yes, I had power to punish the one who wronged me. But the real transformation wasn't in what the river gave me. It was in what I chose to do with it. We all face moments where we can choose revenge or mercy, where we can destroy our enemies or give them a chance to change. The choice we make in those moments defines us more than any power ever could.